All right, welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right into this today because we are looking at a very real, very silent crisis happening right now, literally directly behind the screens of the devices we use every single day. We're exploring the reality of tech burnout in 2026. The people who build the products that billions of us rely on, they're currently running on empty. And to really understand why this matters to all of us, we kind of need to put ourselves in their shoes for just a second. So picture this. It is 2 a.m. The glow of your laptop is the absolute only light in the room. A production bug just took down a core service. And even though you didn't even write the broken code, you are the one who has to fix it. Then your screen flashes with this message from your manager. Any update on this? You scramble, you fix the issue, you finally slam your laptop shut at 3 a.m. And guess what? You're still expected back online for the daily stand-up at 9 a.m. For so many people, this isn't some rare once-a-year emergency. It's just a Tuesday. Section 1. A crisis in statistics. The numbers behind the screens.
83%? I mean, that number is just staggering, and honestly, it should be sounding huge alarm bells. According to the latest 2026 data, 83% of software developers report experiencing burnout. Just let that sink in for a moment. The vast majority of the individuals who are actively designing our digital future are operating from a place of profound, deep exhaustion.
Let's actually break down the severity of this crisis. Over half, 55.7%, are experiencing what's classified as significant burnout. And almost half, 47.9%, are in the high or severe category. We're not talking about just needing a long weekend to recharge here. This is the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that makes you question your entire career path. Overall, a massive 57% of tech professionals currently suffer from workplace burnout. To put that into perspective for you, that rate is currently higher than that of healthcare workers during the peak of the pandemic, and it's higher than first responders. Think about that. The industry famous for its unlimited PTO and office ping pong tables has a higher burnout rate than people who literally run into burning buildings for a living. So what's actually causing this? When you ask these professionals what is driving this exhaustion, look at what tops the list. High workload at 47%, followed closely by inefficient processes, unclear goals, and lack of management support. Do you notice what is entirely missing from this list? The actual work, the coding itself. Developers genuinely love coding. What they are burning out on is the totally broken system surrounding the code. But here is where it gets kind of wild and deeply ironic. 37.8 hours. Despite being historically burned out at their day jobs, tech professionals are spending an average of 37.8 hours every single month coding personal side projects. That is almost a full standard work week of extra coding every single month, just to survive, mentally speaking. The tank is completely empty at their 9 to 5, but the engine just keeps running on these personal passion projects. So, how did we get here? Section 2, the perfect storm. 4 forces of 2026. Force number 1 is this brutal layoff-rewrite cycle. Over the past few years, we've seen this really toxic pattern emerge. A company announces mass layoffs, say chopping 10,000 people, their stock price jumps up, and then months later, they're quietly hiring for those exact same roles again. But in the meantime, the survivors of those layoffs are left doing the work of 3 people on rapidly shrinking teams, constantly wondering if they're next on the chopping block. That kind of existential uncertainty is incredibly toxic. You absolutely cannot do your best, most focused work when you're terrified you won't even have a job next month. Then there's force 2, and this one is deeply psychological. It's the intense tension of building the AI versus being replaced by it. Developers are facing immense AI anxiety right now. They aren't just worried about their current massive workload. They're terrified that the skills they spent a decade honing are about to become obsolete overnight. It's a profound crisis of identity. And the cruelest irony of all this, these completely exhausted engineers are being tasked with building and integrating the exact same AI tools they fear will eventually put them out of a job. Force 3 is the always-on culture. Slack, Teams, Jira, GitHub, email, getting paged at midnight. The modern developer is just drowning in a sea of digital interruptions. And the crucial metric to know here is 23 minutes. Studies show it takes an average of 23 entire minutes just to regain your focus after a single, tiny interruption. If you get pinged just 4 times a day, you've lost over an hour and a half of deep work. So what happens? Well, you make up for it by coding at night, and the cycle just deepens. And finally, force 4, the meaning crisis. This one has some real philosophical weight to it. Look, most people get into software engineering to build cool, really useful things. But when your day-to-day job becomes hyper-focused on, say, optimizing ad clicks or trying to trick a user into spending just 5% more time doom scrolling, your sense of purpose quickly erodes. Combine that with AI actively competing for human meaning, and it's devastating. Hard work is totally fine. Meaningless hard work is what actually breaks people. Section 3. Beyond just being tired. What burnout actually feels like. We really need to move past just looking at statistics and talk about the human reality. Because clinically speaking, burnout is not just being tired. It is a highly measurable physiological and psychological syndrome. We are talking about severe sleep disorders, insomnia, brutal digestive issues, and completely weakened immune systems. Burned out developers physically get sick more often. These aren't just colorful metaphors for being stressed out at work. These are very real, very measurable effects on the human body. So let's walk through how this actually cascades. It happens in 3 distinct stages. First up is emotional exhaustion. You literally have absolutely nothing left to give. Second is depersonalization or cynicism. You start to feel totally detached from your work and your team, thinking, I just don't care, about things you genuinely used to love. And finally, reduced personal accomplishment. No matter what you ship or achieve, you just feel like a failure. And here is the absolute cruelest part. Experiencing these 3 stages strips away your ability to recover. Your empathy shrinks, your problem-solving narrows, and you become way too exhausted to even ask for the help you desperately need. Moving to Section 4, Fixing the Broken Machine. Systemic and individual shifts. The good news? The industry is finally starting to wake up. And these aren't just empty corporate buzzwords anymore. These are structural changes happening right now at forward-thinking companies. We're seeing things like no meeting Wednesdays, protected focus blocks to prevent that brutal 23-minute distraction penalty, and strictly capped on-call rotations so people can actually get some rest. We're even seeing highly successful trials of 4-day work weeks. Culturally, senior engineers are finally speaking out about hitting the wall, which completely normalizes mental health support. It's leading companies to provide actual usable therapy benefits, like BetterHelp and Lyra, instead of just, handing out a PDF on mindfulness and calling it a day. But look, we have to be totally honest here. These positive changes are still very much the exception, not the rule. The fundamental economic incentives demanding infinite, continuous growth haven't really changed at all. This quote honestly sums it up perfectly. The machine is running at 110% and the oil light has been blinking for years. We are literally only just now starting to pay attention to that blinking red light. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, yep, that blinking red light is me, here is what you can do individually to protect yourself right now. First, set hard boundaries with your tech. Remove work email from your phone if you aren't actively on call. Second, protect your sleep. The data shows sleep is the single strongest protective factor against burnout, far more than meditation or even exercise. Third, find meaning outside of work, kind of like those side projects we talked about earlier. And most importantly, talk to someone. Burnout thrives in isolation, guys. Don't go through it alone. And hey, if you're a manager, this is for you. Your job is to buffer your team from the chaos. Ordering a pizza on a Friday night does not fix a structurally broken sprint cycle. You need to actively push back on unreasonable deadlines and fundamentally reduce the workload for your people. Your team needs real, tangible protection, not just performative support. Section 5. The human behind the code. Tools are nothing without the tool makers. Every single app you open, every AI prompt you run, every seamless digital experience you have, there is a human being behind it. Someone who stayed up late, stared at frustrating error messages, and poured a piece of their life into that product. These people are not just engineering headcount. They aren't cogs in a machine. They are incredibly creative humans. Tools are absolutely nothing without the tool makers. And right now, the tool makers are incredibly tired. The tech industry literally has trillions of dollars and all the resources in the world to fix this. The only question is if it actually has the will to do so. So I want to leave you with a question to reflect on, and I would really love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. What does your company do, or entirely fail to do, that affects your mental health? Let's keep this conversation going. Take care of yourselves out there, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.